are hypocrites, Mr. Speaker. Let's talk about this employment bill. Part 1 of the bill means a new employee could start a job in the morning and take their employer to a tribunal that afternoon. It is no wonder that this bill has been called an adventure playground for lawyers. This bill is terrible for business, but it is great employment for lawyers. I know the Prime Minister loves the legal profession, but he needs to stop being a lawyer and start being a leader.
Starmer would never have been cornered as he was by Kemi Badenoch. From the outset, Starmer and the Labour Party have asserted they are taking every step to promote growth and stabilize the economy. Yet, Kemi Badenoch confronted Starmer with a harsh truth, noting that his measures are merely slowing economic progress. Starmer and Badenoch faced off over the employment bill, which Badenoch warned would cost businesses $5 billion, adding strain to smaller companies, reportedly already in serious concern. She went further, describing the legislation as effectively an unemployment bill. Her critique was so severe and uncompromising that the Speaker of the House had to step in.
Last week, he misled the House. He was not on top of his own education bill, listening to
Sorry. We can't accuse the Prime Minister of misleading the House. No. We can't do it. I'm sure there's words that you would prefer to use.
Sorry, we cannot accuse the Prime Minister of misleading the House. No, that's simply not possible. I'm sure there are expressions you might prefer to use, but what was all that about? What has Starmer done that clearly won't help businesses, but would benefit lawyers? What did Badenoch expose that enraged Starmer, yet he could neither respond to nor prevent? In this video, let's explore the full story. Kemi Badenoch's confrontation with Keir Starmer during Prime Minister's questions marked one of the most damaging political moments for Labour in recent memory. It wasn't just a fiery exchange, but a direct and economically severe critique of the party's policies. Beyond that, it shattered the narrative Starmer and his
Last week, the Prime Minister failed to repeat the Chancellor's pledge of no more borrowing and no more taxes. It is obvious that they are coming back for more. In his manifesto, he committed to making Britain the fastest growing economy in the G7. Does he stand by his own pledge?
I'd also invite her to look at the OECD report of this morning, which has upgraded growth for next year and the year after, which now puts us on target to be the highest growing major economy in Europe in the next 2 years. She should welcome that.
Mr. Speaker, I saw the OECD report, and what it said was that they will be coming back for more taxes. And I think the whole House would have heard him fail to repeat his own pledge. He can't even repeat the pledges that he made just a few weeks ago. We are here to stop him from damaging the economy, and that is why yesterday we voted against his damaging jobs tax. Even former supporters, Chef Tom Kerridge, who endorsed Labour at the election, said that the budget was catastrophic.
For months, Labour has presented itself as the party capable of ensuring economic stability. Starmer and his Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, have consistently assured the public that their leadership offers a solution to years of financial mismanagement under the Conservatives. Their central promise has been fostering growth and boosting economic confidence. They pledged businesses a steadier environment compared with the turbulence of the previous decade.
The arrogance of the Prime Minister is that he thinks that it's his government that creates growth. He's wrong. It is business that creates growth. Our economy is built by entrepreneurs, risk takers, and the hard graft of working people. They know that you can't tax your way to growth. You can't borrow your way to growth. You can't legislate your way to growth. Other countries are serious about freeing business from red tape. President Trump is doing it in America. Argentina is taking a chainsaw to regulations. Even the EU is not going as far as this left-wing government. This bill will put us at the bottom of the pack. Add it to the jobs tax, the family business tax. It's no wonder wealth creators are fleeing Britain in droves. The Chancellor is desperately trying to save her reputation. She knows Labour have damaged growth. This bill manifestly fails the Prime Minister's own growth test. If he won't drop the unemployment bill, what is the point of his growth tests?
But Badenoch tore this claim apart, revealing not only weaknesses in Labour's economic strategy, but a fundamental contradiction at the core of its policies. Labour's employment rights bill, promoted as a pro-worker measure, turned out to be a substantial financial burden on businesses, so severe that it failed Starmer's own so-called growth test.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the Prime Minister set his growth test. He said, if a policy is good for growth, the answer is yes. If it's not, the answer is no. This morning, the Chancellor embraced a series of Conservative policies. Although many are welcomed, they will take years to deliver.
Yeah.
When Mr. Speaker, when Conservatives left office, we had the fastest economic growth in the G7. But what is the government doing for growth now?
But what exactly is the government doing to promote growth now? At the heart of Badenoch's critique was the stark economic reality of the Employment Rights Bill. According to Labour's own calculations, the legislation would impose an estimated $5 billion annual cost on
the employment bill. The government's own figures say it will cost business £5 billion a year. It clearly fails the Prime Minister's growth test. Will he?
Badenoch's approach was methodical. She did not merely attack the bill in vague terms. She relied on data, evidence, and real-world business concerns to demonstrate that this legislation was far from pro-employment. Instead, she argued, it would severely strain small and medium-sized enterprises, the backbone of the UK economy. The Federation of Small Businesses, FSB, had already expressed serious worries about the Employment Rights Bill, noting that 92% of small business owners were deeply concerned about its impact. Their primary focus was on the first 6 clauses, which they warned would make hiring significantly riskier and costlier. This was not speculation. These clauses introduced regulations that added financial and legal burdens to businesses already struggling with high inflation, energy expenses, and supply chain disruptions. A major point of contention was the new statutory sick pay provisions. Under this rule, companies would be required to compensate employees from the very first day of illness, replacing the current system where workers must wait before receiving payment. While presented as a pro-worker measure, in practice, it would impose immense financial pressure on small
out there. Last week, I spoke to a woman running a business in Exeter. She is terrified of taking on new staff. She is struggling to keep her head above water, dreading what this government will do next. She's not alone. The Federation of Small Businesses says 92% of small employers are concerned about the employment bill. Clauses 1 through 6 make it harder for business to hire new employees, often young people looking for their first job. This isn't an employment bill,
This isn't an employment bill, it's something else entirely. Many SMEs already operate on razor-thin margins, and imposing mandatory upfront sick pay would discourage hiring while pressuring employers to limit workforce growth. All of this would have a significant impact on the economy. Another contentious feature was the introduction of new flexible working requirements. These rules required employers to justify any denial of flexible work requests, creating additional bureaucracy and compliance obligations that would make recruitment far less appealing. Businesses reliant on structured shifts or on-site roles would now have to defend staffing choices in legal terms, reducing efficiency and increasing vulnerability. Beyond immediate costs, the Employment Rights Bill also heightened legal exposure for companies. With new tribunal-accessible rights, employers could face expensive legal disputes almost immediately after hiring. This posed particular concerns for young or first-time workers, who might be seen as more legally unpredictable due to inexperience. The unintended effect of these changes was that businesses would hesitate to expand their workforce, especially when considering hires from groups perceived as
this employment bill. Part 1 of the bill means a new employee could start a job in the morning and take their employer to a tribunal that afternoon. It is no wonder that this bill has been called an adventure playground for lawyers. This bill is terrible for business, but it is great employment for lawyers. I know the Prime Minister loves the legal profession, but This is another measure in the bill that fails his growth test. Will he show some leadership?
Before we continue, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If so, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more exclusive updates on the transformative changes in British politics. Let's continue. The core issue Badenoch emphasized was straightforward but politically explosive. If hiring becomes riskier, companies will recruit fewer employees, and that trend is already underway. Reports indicate that UK businesses have already slowed recruitment. A significant concern is the introduction of Day 1 employment rights, especially regarding unfair dismissal protections. Traditionally, employers had a one-year probation period to assess an employee's suitability before granting full rights. Under the new legislation, staff would receive full unfair dismissal protections from their first day, exposing businesses to immediate legal challenges and potential tribunal cases. This change is particularly alarming for small companies, which often lack the financial capacity or legal teams to handle a surge in employment disputes. Many fear that opportunistic or unjustified dismissal claims could escalate, forcing costly legal battles or settlements even when they are in the right.
He should listen to business who are terrified of this bill. The only workers he cares about are lawyers, but it is not just lawyers benefiting from this bill. Who else benefits? It's not taxpayers. They will be paying for even more welfare. It's not young workers. They won't get their first break. It's definitely not businesses. They are being hammered with yet more burdens. Who benefits, Mr. Speaker?
They'll be unemployed.
Yes. Who benefits? It's the trade unions. It's the trade unions. Part 4 of the unemployment bill, Part 4, they haven't read it, Part 4 of the unemployment bill is the biggest expansion of trade union powers for a generation. Exactly. Thank you. The public will have heard them cheer. Rather than deregulating for business who create growth, he's deregulating for the unions. Clause 61 alone reduces the notice period for strikes to just 1 week. Given strikes are catastrophic for growth, will he drop Part 4?
As a result of these increased legal risks, many businesses are revising their hiring strategies. The FSB survey revealed that 67% of small companies plan to pause recruitment in the coming year, while 32% intend to reduce their current workforce, effectively contributing to rising unemployment. Additionally, over half of these businesses plan to cancel or scale back expansion efforts, fearing that heavier regulatory burdens will hinder future growth. This presents a serious economic threat, as small and medium-sized enterprises form the backbone of the UK economy, employing over 60% of private sector workers. If SMEs cut hiring or begin layoffs, reliance on welfare programs will rise, driving up government spending on unemployment benefits, while simultaneously reducing consumer spending and slowing overall economic growth. In response, the FSB and other business groups have ramped up pressure on the government to revise the bill. Their primary demand is the removal of Day 1 unfair dismissal protections, which they argue create unnecessary risks and discourage hiring. Instead, they support maintaining the one-year probation period, allowing employers to evaluate an employee's performance before granting full legal rights. Business leaders warn that ignoring these concerns could foster an environment hostile to small businesses, resulting in reduced job creation and potential economic.
Mr. Speaker, the arrogance of the Prime Minister is that he thinks that it's his government that creates growth. He's wrong. It is business that creates growth. Our economy is built by entrepreneurs, risk takers, and the hard graft of working people. They know that you can't tax your way to growth. You can't borrow your way to growth. You can't legislate your way to growth. Other countries are serious about freeing business from red tape. President Trump is doing it in America. Argentina is taking a chainsaw to regulations. Even the EU is not going as far as this left-wing government. This bill will put us at the bottom of the pack. Add it to the jobs tax, the family business tax. It's no wonder wealth creators are fleeing Britain in droves. The Chancellor is desperately trying to save her reputation. She knows Labour have damaged growth. This bill manifestly fails the Prime Minister's...
This bill clearly fails the Prime Minister's test. The entire premise of the Employment Rights Bill was to protect employees and strengthen job security. Yet the measures actually discouraged hiring by introducing legal and financial obstacles. Instead of addressing these critical issues with substance and economic reasoning, Starmer avoided the question entirely. His response to Badenoch's challenge exposed significant weaknesses in Labour's economic strategy. Rather than directly confronting the $5 billion annual cost of the ERB, Starmer shifted the focus to infrastructure projects, oddly praising the approval of Heathrow's third runway as if that somehow justified the burden on businesses. This reaction made little sense within the context of the debate. It was a clear attempt to divert attention.
But she asked what we're doing. The ONS say we've got the highest investment for 19 years. PwC, second best place to invest in the world. IMF upgrading growth, predicted fastest growing major economy in Europe. Wages up, inflation down. Mr. Speaker, there's more to do. We're reforming planning and regulation, building the new homes that we need, supporting a third runway.
When challenged on how small businesses could absorb the financial impact, Starmer resorted to vague and empty rhetoric, discussing dignity and workers' rights without clarifying how companies could realistically manage these new regulations. This was not a genuine answer. His approach indicated that Labour was placing political messaging above economic reality.
Mr. Speaker, we believe in giving people proper dignity and protection at work. That's why we're proud of our record supporting workers. They consistently vote against any protection for working people. And her consistent refrain is that there should be less. But, Mr. Speaker, we are driving growth on behalf of working people. Good work rights are consistent with growth. Every good business knows that. And on top of the planning reform, the building of the houses, supporting aviation, the Chancellor this morning spoke of the Oxford-Cambridge growth corridor, redeveloping Old Trafford, and manufacturing at East Midlands Airport. We want to grow the economy. The only policy she's got is to shrink pensions.
Mr. Speaker, all his ideas are the ones that we thought of. He needs to make sure that we deliver for growth.
Even when directly asked why the bill wouldn't cause job losses, Starmer failed to provide a convincing explanation. Instead, he asserted that strong work rights align with growth, a vague, unpersuasive statement that did nothing to ease concerns about business costs. It became evident that Starmer had not prepared for a serious economic debate. His arguments lacked grounding in economic reasoning and were purely ideological. The most humiliating moment came when Badenoch turned Labour's own growth test against them. Starmer had previously stated that any policy failing to support growth would be reconsidered. Yet the Employment Rights Bill clearly failed this test. Even Labour's own figures showed that the legislation would harm businesses and slow job creation. So why wasn't Labour dropping it? Starmer had no answer. At this point, he was completely trapped. His economic credibility crumbled in real time, a moment that will haunt him for years. He was not merely defeated, but thoroughly exposed. Badenoch successfully framed him as a leader, without economic strategy, answers, or credibility. What do you think? Should Starmer reverse the clauses of the employment bill that encourage legal disputes between employees and employers? Do you believe he misled the public by promising growth and stability? Share your thoughts on Starmer and the Labour Party in the comments below, and let us know how you think they broke the promises for which they were elected. Do you want more videos like this? If so, please like, share, and subscribe to get updates on British politics and the changes shaping it. Until the next video, stay tuned.